On August 10th, 1947, the British Raj, or British rule in India, officially came to an end. Instead of one massive country, there were now two: India and Pakistan. How did this happen? Why did it happen? And why should you care? Let's get into it. So for a little background, for about 200 years prior to 1947, the British had been ruling over the Indian subcontinent, but by the mid-20th century, they were ready to go. After all, World War II had drained their resources and their empire was crumbling. So they decided to cut their losses and leave India. But here's the thing. India wasn't like the United States, or Nigeria, or Ghana, which were all granted independence without any fuss, because they were relatively home. In other words, everyone living there was more or less the same. That wasn't the case in India, which was a melting pot of different religions, languages, cultures, and ethnicities. So, before leaving, the British had to figure out what to do with it. Enter Mahatma Gandhi, the leader of India's independence movement. He wanted all of India's people to be united in one country, independent from the British, but together. Unfortunately for Gandhi, other leaders weren't so sure this was a good idea. For example, Muhammad Ali Jinnah, the leader of the Muslim League, didn't want Muslims in India to be ruled over by a Hindu-majority government. So he demanded that India be split into two separate states, one Hindu state and one Muslim state. After much debate and fighting, the British agreed to partition the subcontinent into two separate states along religious lines. The main problem, though, was that there was no precedent for doing something like this. No one knew how to split up a country based on religion. And so the process was a bit messy. In total, 14 million people had to move from one part of the subcontinent to the other to make sure that both countries had a Muslim majority and Hindu majority, respectively. And unfortunately, over 1 million people were killed in the process. Today, Pakistan and India still haven't gotten over their partition. There is still tension. They have fought multiple wars, and the border between them is still one of the most dangerous places on Earth. Okay, so why should you care about all this? Well, if you live in South Asia, then you already know why this event is important. It directly led to the creation of the modern states of India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and Sri Lanka. Millions of people had to migrate, and over 1 million people were killed. And the effects of this are still being felt today. If you don't live in South Asia, you might be thinking, okay, cool, I learned something new, but why should I care? Well, first of all, over 1 million people were killed in the partition, which is a horrible tragedy that we should never forget. Secondly, the creation of modern Pakistan and India had ripple effects throughout the world. For example, it destabilized an entire region, which arguably led to the Cold War. Also, many argue that it led to the rise of Islamic fundamentalism in South Asia and the Middle East. And finally, the relationship between India and Pakistan is one of the most dangerous conflicts in the world. If it ever spirals out of control, millions more could die. Okay, thanks.